Blood ran in the furrows of the yam fields. Screams tore through the night. And the king's soldiers showed no mercy. One man fell to his knees, staring at the broken bodies of his family, and whispered to the gods, "Why have you forsaken me?" The man was Akeh, a farmer whose life had once been simple, a life filled with laughter, family, and the bounty of the soil. Children ran between huts, chasing chickens, climbing trees heavy with fruit. Evenings were alive with smoke rising from fires, and the sound of song and storytelling. But all that ended the night the king's greed reached their village. Fields that once stretched like golden seas were now soaked in blood. The people who had known only peace were enslaved. For 20 long years, they bent their backs for another. They cleared forests, built houses, tilled land that was no longer theirs. And while they suffered, the king's palace gleamed with stolen grain, and his belly grew fat with their sweat. Yet the earth does not forget, and the gods do not sleep. Among the enslaved was Akeh's son, Nweta, a boy with sharp eyes and a restless heart. At only 14, he often slipped food to a beggar on the edge of the settlement. An old man whose hair was white as ash, whose eyes seemed as deep as the river's bottom. Nweta did not know his secret, but his kindness would set destiny in motion. Then came the day of sorrow. The king, greedy and cunning, devised a plan to weaken the strongest families. He accused Akeh and his brothers of breaking a royal vessel and stealing from his storehouse. The charge was false, but truth was of no value to a tyrant. His decree was swift: kill their families. Let the men live so they may carry their shame like chains. That day, while Akeh worked in the fields, his compound was invaded. His wife, children, and kin were slaughtered like animals. Their blood pooled in the dust, staining the earth red. When Akeh returned at dusk, a coldness hung in the air. His home, once filled with laughter, was silent. Footprints in the soil led him to the inner room, and there he found them all lying still. He fell to his knees, wailing, "Ah, who did this to me? What evil have I done? Gods, why have you forsaken me?" Before his cries faded, the king's guards appeared. They seized him, beating him as neighbors watched in silence, too afraid to intervene. To speak meant death. Akeh and his brothers were thrown into prison. Their crime: to be strong men in a land ruled by fear. Months passed. Hunger gnawed at him. Chains bruised his wrists. Yet his spirit refused to break. Then came the king's next command. Akeh and his brothers, along with many others, were sent to clear a vast forest. The guards received secret orders: make their days and nights unbearable. Work them until death takes them. The guards obeyed with cruelty. No rest, no proper food. Men weakened, fell sick, yet the work continued. But the farmers knew the secrets of the earth. They gathered herbs and leaves, eating them for strength, grinding them into medicine. With this they endured, defying the king's plan. The guards grew furious. Who gives them food? Why do they not die? Their leader roared. At last they plotted to kill the men themselves. One moonless night, Akeh and 2 men crept out to gather herbs. On their way back, 4 guards ambushed them. Blades flashed. Voices roared. The men fought with desperation. Bare hands became weapons. By the struggle's end, the guards lay dead. There was no turning back. If the king learned of this, their families would be wiped out completely. The only path forward was rebellion. That night, the forest rang with shouts. The guards discovered the missing men and raised an alarm. All enslaved workers were gathered, and more guards were dispatched to hunt Akeh and his companions. By dawn, the forest became a battlefield. Farmers armed with sticks and stones clashed against soldiers with steel. Against all odds, many guards fell. The bush drank deeply of blood. Akeh's name rose among the men like fire rising from dry wood. Still the palace remained. The king's heart still beat. In the chaos, Akeh was struck down by many blows. Left for dead, he awoke not in the forest but in a small hut he had never seen before. Its walls were painted with strange symbols, its air heavy with incense. An old man appeared, the same beggar Nweta had once fed. His eyes glowed like embers. "Your son was kind to me when I had nothing. He is gone now, slain in the king's cruelty. What I could not do for him, I shall do for you." The old man lifted a calabash. "Drink. Today you shall cheat death and gain the strength of 1,000 men." Akeh trembled, but he drank. Fire coursed through his veins. His wounds closed. His body surged with power. Then the old man handed him another calabash filled with herbs. "Eat. With this you break the tie with death forever. You shall be immortal until your task is done. Avenge your son. Liberate your people." From that moment, Akeh was no longer merely a man. He was the weapon of the gods. Akeh returned to the bush, his eyes burning like torches. He gathered his brothers and the enslaved men, whispering the old man's words. Together they plotted not just escape, but war. They moved from village to village, gathering men willing to fight. Herbs and chants made them stronger than mortal measure. One man could face 20. A band of 10 could hold back 100. They trained in secret, sharpening wood into spears, stones into blades. The fire in their hearts was hotter than any iron. Finally the night came. The king sat in his palace, waiting for his guards to return. Instead, the night split with war cries. Akeh and his warriors stormed the palace. The king's guards poured out, 30 for every one of Akeh's men. But they did not falter. Enchanted strength made their limbs unbreakable. Shields shattered, swords bent. Men fell like trees in a storm. Akeh moved like a whirlwind, cutting down all who stood before him. By dawn, the throne lay overturned. The king's reign ended in blood and dust. The people poured into the courtyard, voices rising in freedom after 20 years of chains. They hailed Akeh, begged him to be their king. But he shook his head. "I am not here to rule. I am here to set you free." And with those words, he vanished. Some say he walked into the forest and never returned. Others believe he gave his powers to another and then died. Yet many whisper he still lives, wandering the earth, waiting for the day his people need him again. To honor him, a day of the week was named after Akeh. On that day, no one farms, no one fights. They gather to tell his story. The story of the farmer who became a warrior, the man who cheated death, the liberator who disappeared into legend. Whenever thunder rolls and the wind howls through the trees, the people still ask in hushed voices, "Is Akeh near? Will he return?" Thank you for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe for more fascinating African tales. Share in the comments what lesson you learned. We'd love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next video.